entrance.
Oh, Sayers!
Faker joins the fight. Elko with the stopwatch. Faker in the middle of them all. And it seems like death may have arrived. And his name is Faker. He's here for your lives. The rest of T1 begins to collapse. Faker's going to fall as he pulls the stopwatch, manages to buy himself a second. Owner here to save his mid laner once again. And Faker still stands for it. T1 are the past, the present, and the future.
League of Legends World Championship is coming up, and I wanted to make a video detailing everything anyone wants to know about League. Be it for the people who are completely new or someone who is coming back to League after a long break. So here are all the things you need to know before Worlds 2025. For those of you who don't know, League of Legends has this once-in-a-year big tournament called Worlds, which is like the Champions League if you watch football, or like the NBA playoffs if you watch NBA. It's the final international event of the year. Every other event like MSI or Mid-Season Invitational, First Stand, they all build up to this gigantic tournament at the end. Throughout the year, teams from different regions compete in their own respective leagues in their country and accumulate points. Each division has their own formats and seeding rules which are so different depending on the regions that it will be impossible for me to cover here without making this video an hour long. After the season ends, the best teams from each region get qualified to Worlds. There, every team fights each other regardless of the region, and finally, a single team emerges victorious to win all. That's the basic rundown of the whole tournament. Now, let's get into the regions. For the last few years, the Worlds tournament has been dominated by Asian teams, specifically the Korean and the Chinese teams. They are a cut above the rest, and even in this year's international events, no one was able to stop them. There are 5 major regions: the LCK for the Korean region, the LPL for the Chinese region, the LEC for the EU region, the LCP for Asia Pacific region, and LTA North and South for the North and South American region respectively. First, let's look at the format of the tournament, and then we will get into the teams from each region and know more about which teams look to win it all this year. This year, Worlds has a slightly different format. In previous years, Worlds Tournament had a play-in stage where the lowest seed of each region and the qualifiers of the minor regions, which merged into LTA and LCP this year, played in the play-in stage. There were 8 teams in total, and only 4 qualified for the main stage. This year, however, there are no minor regions, and all teams qualify directly to the main event, except for LCK and LPL. The 4th seed from both these regions will compete in a best-of-5 series on 14th of October to determine who will go to the main event and who will go home. After that is done, and the actual World Championship starts, the matches will be all one-game series. Teams that get 3 wins will advance to the quarterfinals, and the ones who lose 3 matches will go home. Teams that have the same record will face off each other. So a team that has a 2-1 record will only play another team with the same 2-1 record. All elimination and qualification games will be a best-of-3. So teams with 2-0 records will play their next matches as best-of-3s until they either win and qualify or lose all 3 and go home. Also, teams with 2 lost records will play their next remaining games as best-of-3s. After that, the remaining teams will go to the quarterfinals where each game onwards will be best-of-5s. The winner takes all. Now let's talk about the teams that qualified for Worlds from each region and the teams that will play for a spot in the play-ins tournaments. The LTA has 2 divisions, LTA North and LTA South, which are for North and South America. While this is a pretty controversial change from the previous year's rebranding from LCS and CBLOL, it also provided less slots for the region altogether. This is because LTA together gets 3 slots. Before, LCS had 3 spots and CBLOL had their own spots. This new rule makes it way harder for teams to compete for a place at the biggest tournament of the year and make something of the whole year. There are also different minor regions, which also got merged like the VCS and LLA, but LTA was the biggest talking point because they, along with LEC, were 2 regions which actually showed some capabilities of winning Worlds other than the Asian teams. About the actual teams that did qualify, from this region are FlyQuest, VKS or Vivo Keydstars, and 100 Thieves. FlyQuest and 100 Thieves are from the LTA North, and VKS are from the LTA South region. Out of these 3 teams, FlyQuest are the favorites to go the furthest. Now I say that they are favorites to go the furthest and not win, because the LTA or even the LCS has never managed to have a very deep run at Worlds. LEC had a good run in 2018, but LCS was always like this region who never really did anything internationally. Last year, however, they qualified to the quarterfinals, took Gen.G, a team from Korea who was one of the favorites to win the whole tournament, to a 5-game series and almost beat them too. They have insane mechanically skilled players and players who would play champions that don't really get picked in normal pro play. This surprising factor got many teams off guard during their regular season in LTA and even Gen.G during last year's Worlds. Bwipo and Inspired are the two main players that everyone hypes up about. Bwipo, their top laner, is known to pick some strange champs and confuse opponents, and Inspired, one of the best junglers right now, having insane champion knowledge and macro around the map. Those two, if they lock in and produce some magic, LTA might have a team that might beat a top-tier Korean or Chinese team this year. Apart from that, VKS and 100 Thieves do not show much promise. The whole year for the LTA, it was all about FlyQuest, C9, and Team Liquid to some extent. Team Liquid fell off during the final half of the season, and C9 couldn't qualify, leaving only FlyQuest, who were good all throughout the year, the only team remaining. 100 Thieves did show some good performance during the final half, where things really mattered, and so did VKS. But as they were fairly quiet during the rest of the season, I didn't really watch them that much. And it seems neither did many of the other co-streamers as well, since in many of their videos, they do not mention them too much as well. So if they win a few matches in this tournament, it would be a big upset. If you're liking it so far, give this video a like and subscribe. Now, let's get back to the regions. LCP is the region of Asia Pacific. It's another one of the regions where only one team really stands out. LCP gets 3 teams for Worlds: CTBC Flying Oyster or CFO, Team Secret Whales, TSW, and PSG Talon. The team that stands out is CFO. This team has shown some really good performance this year, taking T1, the previous year's World Championship winner, and Gen.G to Game 5s for a 5-game series. They have beaten both the top seeds of LEC and LTA in internationals this year and are the only team from any region to qualify for all international tournaments. These are some crazy results, considering that this region was considered even lower in ranking than LTA. CFO is single-handedly carrying the whole region. I'm sad to say that I have not watched many games from this region, and I don't have much to go off on. But looking at their international performances, CFO looks really tough to beat. And it's not only for the Western regions. Teams from LCK and LPL will also face problems with them if they don't lock in. They have insanely good team fighting abilities and some good macro as well. CFO has a 6-man roster with Driver and Rest both in the top lane position. While it does provide some fresh new tactics with each player, it also makes the team a little predictable, as Driver mostly plays tanks and Rest mostly plays carries. Now, they might change it up and show us something completely different at Worlds, but so far, this tactic of a 6-man roster has worked wonders for them. For TSW and PSG, well, there is not much expectation for them. In other international tournaments, they showed lackluster performances, and even in their regional tournament, they didn't look too good. However, as I said earlier, I haven't watched much of their games, so I might be completely wrong. LEC is the region for the EU. Now, this region is interesting. On paper, there is only one good team that has any chance of making it far this year, but even that team has had some issues during the year. Just like all the other regions so far, this one also has 3 teams to qualify for Worlds. They are G2, Fnatic, and Movistar KOI or MKOI. Out of these, G2 is by far the strongest, but that was not the case for the whole year. G2 looked really bad during the start of the year. They won against the weaker teams in their region, but were fairly disappointing with the stronger teams. They also struggled very much during the other international events against the Asian teams, losing 3-1 most of the time. But something clicked during the final half of the regional season. The whole team started playing like a team. They had great team fights, great macro, and looked great all around the map. Their jungler and support were the highlight players. Even their mid laner, who is one of the best players EU has made, Caps, showed great skill. He was fairly silent during the rest of the year. Since last year, G2 departed with their jungler and support and brought in newcomers. Maybe because of the new setting and new environment, they failed to adjust at the start of the year. But when they linked together, they were unstoppable, winning 3-0 in their final match against MKOI. That said, MKoi and Fnatic are not really that good a team from what I saw. So winning against them in a dominating fashion might not prove too much. Fnatic brought in Poby, who was T1's Academy mid laner, who helped the team win and qualify for Worlds this year. MKoi, well, they're there too. They did show some good skills during some of their matches, but it was mostly one-on-one skills, with the teams either getting a solo kill in lane or ganking lanes with the junglers. Most of that won't work against the teams who have almost perfect knowledge about almost all the champions. That is another strong point for G2 as well, because they can pick some weird champs which can throw off some of the big teams. And since all the matches except for qualification and elimination are best of ones, they might win a few. However, the same cannot be said for Fnatic and MKoi. So we will just have to wait and see what they will cook for us. Okay, now here comes the big dogs. LPL is the region for China, and it's most possibly the hardest region in the world. That's because the teams in this region play hundreds of matches to qualify for a tournament, and the margin for error is so thin. So qualifying from this region means that you are already one of the best teams in the world. As for the teams that did qualify are BLG or Bilibili Gaming, AL or Anyone's Legends, and TS or Top Esports. They also have a 4th spot with Invictus Gaming or IG playing in the play-in tournament against the 4th spot from LCK. There's a lot to talk about these teams, so sit tight. First is the winner of the region BLG. BLG were the finalists of last year's Worlds, where they went the full 5 games against T1, but unfortunately lost. This year, they had a pretty rough start. They changed their jungler 3 times, and now have a 6-man roster as well, with 2 junglers, Beichuan and Shadow. Both have their own respective playstyle and techniques. BLG have switched them quite a lot, changing Beichuan to Shadow almost right after their first loss. Even in their final series for the LPL trophy against TES, Beichuan started the series, but was substituted after their first match loss. Shadow played the rest of the games, and BLG ended up winning with a score of 3-2. There were many issues with their jungler this year which had negatively impacted the team for almost the whole year, but they pulled it together in the end. Even their top laner, Bin, who was considered the best top laner last year, had a pretty rough year, but during the playoffs he locked in and showed everyone why he is still one of the best to touch the game. Knight, their mid laner, was the MVP of the finals and is one of the best ones in the role. He plays many different champions and has great individual and team fight skills as well. Their bot lane might cause some problems at times, but the team manages to come out on top most of the times, and it seems like they are once again the favorites to win the Worlds tournament from the Chinese region. But there are 2 more teams that are the trophy, and they are not too far apart in terms of skill. TES was the runner-up and took BLG to a 5-game banger in the finals. TES has always been the team to show some really good regional performance. They will beat all the top teams in their region, but somehow manage to suck internationally. I don't know why, but they always do that. They even lost to an LEC team this year at an international tournament. But luckily they did bounce back domestically and showed no signs of slowing down. They have some world-class players in every lane and should be a problem for every other team in the tournament. 369, their top laner, has been exceptional this season. The whole year, their jungler also facilitated their bot lane. The bot lane, however, is the same as BLG, running it down sometimes, inting every chance they get. But when they're not, this team looks amazing. Talking about amazing, the best team if you take the whole year into account has been Anyone's Legends. Right from the beginning of the year, they showed great promise. They did lose to TES and failed to qualify for the first international event, but after that they went on a rampage. They beat T1 once already, and almost beat Gen G, taking them to 5 games. However, they did fall off massively during the final part of the season, so I don't really know how to feel about them. They lost to TES again, making them the 3rd seed for the region, and even looked very bad doing it, losing 3-1 in the series. But they do have the best jungler in Tarzan. He can make or break this game, and if he is on a good day, then be sure that AL will win that day. Other than that, the other laners are all great. They can compete against the likes of Bin and Knight and Elk and On and other best players in the positions. All in all, AL is a team to watch out for. If they lock in and bring back their previous form, they can win it all this year. Finally, there's the 4th seed from LPL, IG. Now, I don't really think IG will make it out of play-ins. They're a good team, with the Shy as their top laner who is pretty unpredictable. He can either destroy other top laners or get absolutely destroyed by them. There does not seem to be anything much in between with him. Rookie, their mid laner, has fallen off a bit. He was getting carried by his teammates throughout the later half. Gala, their bot laner, showed some real class during the final half of the season. While they all showed some real promising performances, this team only performs on their good days. There seems to be a lack of consistency with them. And even on the best of days, they might not make it with the team they're playing against. But there have been weirder things that have happened in the biggest tournament of the year, so I won't be surprised if they make it. The final region is the LCK, the region from Korea. They have won the past 4 World titles, or maybe 3, I forgot. This is by far the best region at Worlds, having the best players in every position. And the teams that qualified are Gen.G, yeah, the team I've been mentioning all this time, Hanwha Life Esports, or HLE, and KT, who apparently just woke up right before the qualifying matches and beat even Gen.G in a series. You're not taking a Game 5, but to actually beat them. With T1, the last year's winner having the 4th seed who will compete against IG in the play-in on October 14th. Now you see why I was not very sure about IG's winning chances, right? First, let's talk about Gen.G. This is the most stacked roster probably in the history of this game. Key in the top lane is one of the best in the world. Canyon, the jungler whom many consider the best jungler alongside Tarzan. Chovy, the mid laner who is considered the best player in the world right now, period. Ruler, the best bot laner, and Duro, who is there to support the team in the best way he possibly can. But the thing is, apart from Ruler, no one in this team has ever won a Worlds trophy. Chovy has won everything except Worlds. That was the main theme for last year's Worlds, where Gen.G were the favorites by miles, and the storyline being Chovy will finally win Worlds, but that didn't happen. This year is the same with the same story, being Chovy will win it all finally this year. But having been denied so many times makes me doubt that they might choke this year too. The whole year, they looked untouchable, losing to HLE during the start, having a 28-game win streak, not losing a single series until the very later half to T1, and then losing again to KT during the qualification matches. They did, however, come back even stronger after those losses, if that was even possible, and they did win the LCK tournament. But now the question comes back. They're the best team in the world according to power rankings. But with the recent performance, will they choke again, just like last year? Moving on to HLE, the 2nd seed. They had a pretty roller coaster of a season. The start was phenomenal. They beat Gen.G and every team there was, even internationally. Then during the middle half of the season, after Gen.G pulled out a reverse sweep on them, beating them 3-2 broke them. They couldn't compete with the best teams, those being T1 and Gen.G anymore. But at the final moments, they showed us again that HLE are still one of the best teams in the region. They beat T1 in dominant manner with a 3-0 scoreline and took Gen.G to a 5-game banger. I don't really know what to say about this team. Their performance really dipped during the middle portion of the season, but their start and end was very impressive. Maybe they make it to the semis and lose? I don't know. They're like the dark horse. They can either make miracles or just be mid. They have really good players. Zeus, the top laner for the team, is the top laner from T1 who won Worlds last year. Their jungler has been in the game as one of the best for a long time, and this will be his last year before joining the mandatory military service in Korea. Zika, their mid laner, is also one of the best of the region, and Viper is absolutely world-class, competing against Ruler for the spot as the best ADC. Hopefully they show a good performance and finally win it all for their jungler. As for KT, I don't think they'll make it far. The whole year, they only won against teams not in the top 4. The whole year they lost to T1, Gen.G and HLE, but only during qualifiers they beat Gen.G and got a spot in the top 3, which is just absurd. But as they have not shown any real good performance the whole year, I highly doubt they can make something happen. Maybe if they draw the Western teams they win and make it to quarterfinals, but I doubt that too. That's all I got for them really. I didn't really pay much attention to their matches, as they were just punching bags for the top 3 teams. Now we finally come to the 4th seed, T1, everyone's favorite team, the team that always somehow manages to win everything. They're the back-to-back champions and are eyeing up their 3rd title in a row. Their start was a little rough. By rough, I mean they always were 3rd, losing to HLE and Gen.G, but not the others. During the middle, they ascended and beat every team that wasn't Gen.G. Teams from LPL, LEC, LTA, no one stood chance against them. They even beat Gen.G during one of their series. But during the final stretch, the last 2 matches, they fell short, losing to HLE in a 3-0 fashion and to Gen.G in 3-2 series. There's always something going on with this team. Last year, they barely made it to Worlds, but knocked everyone out after reaching there. The year before was the same case. Without some form of drama, this team cannot function. So this time as well, they will be competing against IG and the loser goes home. The script will be like T1 almost couldn't make it, but they somehow beat all the teams to win Worlds back to back to back. I mean, following this team is like riding a roller coaster with so many ups and downs. As for their team, Doran replaces their former top laner Zeus. Doran started slow, adjusting to the team, but blended in real nice later on, even becoming one of their best players in some matches. Their jungler, Wunner, is on par with Tarzan and Canyon. Faker, the god of esports, a name that everyone knows, the GOAT of League of Legends, is their mid laner. Gumayusi and Kiria are the bot lane duo. Kiria is the best support, in my opinion. Gumayusi had a rough start to the season. He was benched and replaced by Smash, but came out stronger than ever after he came back to the roster. Now in their match against IG, I don't think there should be any doubt about who will win. If T1 shows even 80% of what they're capable of, they should win this easily. But it's never easy with T1, so I don't know what might happen. But I'm pretty sure it's T1 favored. And that's everything you need to know about Worlds 2025. The play-in will start on 14th of October and will be held in China. The main event starts on the 15th. The final fixtures of which team plays who will be released after the play-ins, so the teams will only have a day to prepare for their opponent. If you're a betting man, I would suggest to keep an eye on T1 and Gen G, but if you like to take risks, go for AL or CFO. They are one of the most fun teams to watch, and if they play to their fullest capacity, they might actually win it. Hope you liked this video. I had to go through so many of the matches and cross-check so many things about the players. So if you liked it, give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this. YouTube also recommends this video popping up on your screen right now. I'm sure you will like it as well. See you in the next one.